iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
Hi, this is S.J. Arninger from iHeartRadio Broadway, and today we're talking murder, mystery, and musical theater with two of the stars of the new digital musical, A Killer Party, a murder mystery musical. Please help me welcome Drew Gehling and Jarrod Spector. Jarrod, Drew, thank you so much for joining me today for iHeartRadio Broadway. We're here today to talk about A Killer Party, a murder mystery musical. It's a 9-episode musical now available on akillerpartymusical.com. My first question is, how did you guys both get involved with this project?
Randomly, Jason Howland called me about a few weeks into the big shutdown. And he's like, I'm stuck in my apartment. We're all stuck in our places for right now. And what are we going to do with all of this time? And he said, I've got this idea, and here it is. It's going to take 2 weeks. It'll take a total of 2 weeks. And you'll shoot in your house. You've got Julia there. Julia's my girlfriend. She's like, she can help. And then boom, like a few days of shooting and you're done. And then we're going to edit it all together. And that quickly turned into weeks upon weeks upon weeks of production meetings and Zoom meetings between the entire cast where we would read the script together. And what we finally have come to is a massive undertaking that took months.
Uh-oh, did we lose him?
Did we lose him?
I'm going to pick up where he left off just in case we lost him, because my story starts exactly the same way. I get the call from Jason. It's going to be no big deal. You'll record the songs ahead of time, then you'll shoot them. Easy peasy, couple days of shooting. You'll only be in one episode, maybe 2 or whatever. And then, yeah, as Drew was about to say, this massive undertaking with, the thing is, we are all, there's 11 of us cast members in various places all across the country. And with all of our disparate shooting apparatuses and audio and lighting setups, and they're now forced, they've taken on this huge responsibility of trying to edit everything, both sound and sound and video, to make it look like one cohesive piece. And I have to say that from what I've seen so far, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, there are times where I honestly was watching, especially because the thing is, we all shoot remotely. I'm watching things I've never seen and a lot of songs I've never heard at all. So it's all very fresh for all of us to see it and hear it for the first time. And sometimes I forget the way it was done. I mean, it really does feel really well, like seamlessly shot. And it feels like they're in one room talking to each other. And the group scenes are really cleverly done with the various like sort of Zoom screens moving. And so it looks like we're all cheersing. I mean, it's really clever. The editing team is amazing.
So before we talk about how this whole thing came about with the filming, for those that have no idea, how would you describe A Killer Party, a murder mystery musical, to somebody who's just learning about it for the very first time?
Drew?
Okay, let's hope I don't cut out in the middle of it. But I would say it is like a 9-episode long miniseries that is a musical that has a bunch of your favorite Broadway performers seamlessly singing and acting with each other in what can only be described as a ridiculous murder romp.
Yeah, it's like Knives Out meets Clue meets a musical.
Yeah.
So funny. I was trying to figure out the best way to describe it, and that's exactly what I said. It was like Knives Out meets Clue meets just the best comedy musical you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. That's basically it. I mean, what's fun about it is that the physical reality that everyone was living in at the time is, how they came up with this concept in the first place. Like, what would justify each person acting in their own separate room? And it's like, oh, well, if there's a murder, you have to be questioned in your own room. Like, everyone gets in their own isolation all in one night. And so it was a really clever idea, and it was actually possibly executed because we were all in our own space. But like little stuff like you're looking left of the camera, you always look right at the camera, and so it really looks like everyone was in the same room, especially when we're being interrogated by our detective Justine Case, played by Jessica Keenan-Wynn.
So let's talk about the rest of the cast. I mean, it's a pretty stellar cast that has all come together. It's Michael James Scott, Jeremy Jordan, Laura Osnes, Alex Newell, Carolee Carmelo, Jackie Burns, Christina Alabado, Miguel Cervantes. I mean, the cast is ridiculous that they all came together to do this. So I know you're not working technically opposite them when you all are filming these things. So how was the filming process for you to be home by yourselves? It's not like you were on a Zoom camera with other people. You're really doing a lot of this by yourself.
Well, in some cases, we were lucky enough to be able to do that. On a couple of scenes that I had with Jessica, I was able to kind of FaceTime with her as we shot it, which kind of helped a little bit because I could kind of set up her face in the place that I needed it to be, so we could essentially play a scene in a way that would eventually get cut together, even though she had already filmed her footage separately. So those kind of discussions made little scenes easier. But for example, like Jarrod and I didn't interact at all
Ever
for the entire process. I don't even know what your songs sound like until I watch them.
I don't even know if you sing. I know nothing about what you're doing.
I assure you, it's not me. It's not me singing. It's the beauty of post-production.
Jarrod, what was your filming process like?
Well, I mean, for me, a lot of it was pre-planned. So most of us interact with Jessica Keenan Wynn because she is the Daniel Craig of this particular musical. So for us, I mean, there was one scene where, for instance, you'll see in episode 3, like I'm in a bathtub. And so she starts out standing and then she squats down. And so it's really a matter of, because we're not in the same room and filming at the same time, it's just pre-planning everything to the smallest minutia. Like, when are your eyes going to be here? When are you going to lower down? All right, I'll say this and then I'm going to sit up. And so then you're, just slight things so that the editing job isn't completely impossible. So that it actually can look like we filmed opposite each other, even though we weren't in the same room and not filming at the same time at all. But then I was also, I happened to be quarantined with one of my castmates. So there are some scenes that happen in real life. But that was like a one freak rare occurrence. Other than that, I mean, we're all, and I think Drew can attest to this, forced to become our own amateur lighting designers, cinematographers, directors of photography, and audio engineers, especially for, for the pre-record stuff. I mean, everyone is just, I have the utmost respect, and my respect only grows by the day for the teams of creatives and, especially on the technical side, who are experts in all of these areas. And it's not that we take them for granted. I sort of take for granted that they're going to do the thing that they do. And then suddenly we have to do so much of it,
Well, it's even for doing interviews like this, I'm so used to being in a radio studio and trying to come up with the lighting rig and what I'm going to record on. It's the props that I give to sound engineers, lighting engineers right now, it's unbelievable.
It's crazy. Like, suddenly you have all of these amateur actors being like Wikipediaing what is 3-point lighting, how do you like buying that. It's bananas. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to the creative team for A Killer Party. So it's music by Jason Howland, lyrics by Nathan Tyson, book by Kate Kerrigan, and directed by Mark Bruni. So I know we're so used to working with these people live on stage in the rehearsal studio. So what is it like working with the creative team via Zoom or via email? Is it a complete different shift in thought process when it comes to working with a creative team, or did you really find it was very similar to what you're used to in a rehearsal studio?
In a lot of ways, it was similar in that Bruni and Jarrod and I have all worked together before, and Bruni's worked with a lot of the other actors as well. So there was a language that was already in place that we could kind of have a shorthand to ask questions about the problems as they would come up. And problems would come up, like I had to shoot only at night. So Mark and Jason would get these texts from me at like 2 a.m. where I'm like, what color is the soup? What color is the soup? I need to know right now because I'm shooting this thing right now. If I get it wrong, I'm gonna have to set the whole thing up again tomorrow night. And so everyone was kind of on call 24 hours a day for months, essentially, while we, solved little problems as they came up and put out little fires.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they had to be on call because you've got people not just across the country and on their own schedules, but in different time zones, different schedules, shooting at different times, because we would all record and then shoot as we got our particular material and our episodes. So they just had to be available to us all the time. I think the thing that makes it harder, Drew's right. We do have this language, a lot of us, sort of a shorthand, so that when we're in our Zoom meetings, it's kind of like, in a rehearsal process, you have table work at the beginning. You sit around, you read, you talk through the scenes, what's going to make sense. But then in a rehearsal room, you get on your feet and do it. And that was not the case here. It's like, once you pass the table work section, you're just sort of doing it on your own. And then we could like call in or FaceTime for a quick question here and there. But there has to be a high level of trust, that goes both ways, that to make this thing work. And I think that it did. And again, the result is, as a person who I know what it looked like shooting on my side, it's just so impressive to see the product and how they were able to edit it and make it look like something that, a lot of time and money and effort was put into.
Well, even just the trailer alone. I mean, I've been attached to some, what we're calling Zoomsicles for the 5 months we've been in quarantine. And I have to say, it's really impressive how just the trailer alone came to be, because it does look like there is a film crew in each and every one of your apartments or your homes. And so I applaud the person who is editing this whole entire 9-episode musical, because it is fantastically edited together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially the group scenes. It's great. I mean, I don't know how it's like
those group scenes are wonderful, and the color correction work that they've done to kind of make everyone seem like they're in the same world is, I mean, a whole level of production and post that you're kind of peripherally aware of when you work in film and television, but you don't actually see until you give them this raw product and they send something back that looks professionally shot.
Yeah, I mean, and anything that's professionally shot is generally shot with the same instruments and some of the same lighting techniques. Like, this is all completely different. Like, we're all doing the best that we can. And I think for some of it, it's fine. Like, I think like the in quarantine shots when we're being interrogated is fine, that they each sort of have their own feel and personality, because everyone is, if Drew is in a kitchen and I'm in a bathroom, it's okay that it looks slightly different because it has a different feel. But especially those group scenes, they have to feel cohesive, and it's pretty amazing what they've done.
Mm-hmm. How would you describe the music to this musical?
Multi-genre. It's all over the map. It's really all over the map, at least the things that I've heard and got to record. I've never worked on something where Jason would send me a comp and say, okay, you got to record this today, so we can I can turn it around and send it right back to you so you can shoot the thing. And I had seen lyrics on a page, but I didn't necessarily know what the song sounded like. So in some cases I would just get raw accompaniment with Jason kind of singing along with me, and I would have to lay down my vocals, and then that would go to Jarrod, and Jarrod would lay down his version, and sometimes it would come to me after some other people had sung so I could match them. But it's like ensemble singing as by Zoom has been very weird.
Yeah, I agree completely, and I would say the same about it. It's just the genres are everywhere. I mean, I only know the stuff that I got to sing on, so it's something that some of it sounds very sort of traditional musical theater, and other things are very poppy. I mean, one of my songs is a complete Justin Timberlake, Bruno Mars kind of a tune. So I mean, they're really all over the map in terms of genre. And yeah, again, the same deal. Like, we'd get a piano vocal arrangement and maybe something to sing along to, and then Jason would send it. We'd sing along, send it back. Is that good? Okay, change this, change that. Try to maybe redo this line if anything doesn't sound quite right. All right, now throw some some harmonies behind that, and then we would sing along to it when we would do the actual shooting. It was it's an amazing. It was a fascinating little process.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your character. So Drew, you played Cameron Mitchell John.
Cameron Mitchell John.
I'm sorry, Cameron Mitchell John. Can you give us a little overview of who Cameron is?
Yeah, Cameron is essentially catering is his side job, but what he really wants is to be a leading man, and this is his big chance to shine. That's all you need to know.
He shines in the trailer, I will say that. So
Yeah, shiny forehead, shiny cheeks.
That's another thing. Makeup and like getting rid of shine.
Makeup.
The whole other thing you have to learn.
I know. And so, Jarrod, you play George Murderer.
Correct. It's a family name. Don't read anything into it. George is very quick to defend himself. It's just a family name. It doesn't mean anything. It's not sinister necessarily. He is the sort of de facto leading man of this theater group, but again, has his own aspirations and would very much like to be the writer-composer of the next musical. So everyone has the thing that they want and maybe don't get, and therefore everyone might have a motive for the central murder of the show.
And you do a lot of bathtub work in this musical.
Did some bathtub work. I did. I'd never...
very pruny.
I'd never... Very, very pruny. I try to keep doing it as quickly as possible so I wouldn't get pruny. But, you know, you might see that I'm not actually naked. I am wearing a bathing suit in it because, you know, it's PG.
It is PG after all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you could describe these 9 episodes in 5 words or less, how would you describe A Killer Party, a murder mystery musical?
Just in case, bouncing around the house.
Okay.
Because she has to hit each of us.
Okay. Jarrod?
That was terrible. That was terrible.
Unclassic Who Done It meta musical.
There you go.
Did somebody feed that to you from off camera just now?
Maybe.
I heard a little
Cheating.
whisper.
Cheating. Kelly.
When you do Zoom interviews, sometimes occasionally there are other people in the room who can hear you talking.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I think your wife may have fed you that line a little bit.
She gave me a little something. She gave me a little starter. She's not here. She's not really here. It's Josie.
Kelly.
Josie whispered it to me.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. A Killer Party, a murder mystery musical, is now available on akillerpartymusical.com. It's 9 episodes. For $12.99, you can be a part of the whole entire experience. I've heard that there are bloopers online. There's some backstage stuff going on online too. So check it out on akillerpartymusical.com. I can guarantee you are going to have an absolute blast. Jarrod, Drew, thank you so much for joining me today, and I wish you nothing but the best for the rest of quarantine.
Likewise,
thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
On August 5th, join us for the world premiere of a new musical featuring some of your favorite Broadway actors.
They're the worst.
All attending a dinner party where they serve meatballs, mayhem, and murder. A Killer Party, a new digital musical and your new deadly obsession in 9 episodes. You'll be begging to know who done it. Starring Christina Alabado, Jackie Burns, Carolee Carmelo, Miguel Cervantes, Drew Gehling, Jeremy Jordan, Alex Newell, Laura Osnes, Jarrod Spector, Michael James Scott, and Jessica Keenan-Wynn as they spend one night together, singing, dancing, and solving a murder. So grab your notepad and follow along because you're invited to A Killer Party. Pre-sale start July 27th. Streaming begins August 5th. For more information, go to akillerpartymusical.com.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.